Good afternoon, guys. Today, in this video, we will discuss another important topic from our exam point of view. And this discussion is not just important from the examination point of view. As an Indian citizen, okay, you have to know about all these developments. Okay, then you will, become an aware citizen. Then you can take the additional steps that what have to do to make my country better. Okay, so in this session, we are going to understand the monsoon session. In this session, in monsoon session, how the parliament has worked, both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. You see, in polity, many times application-based questions will be coming, like evaluate the functioning of the Lok Sabha, or evaluate the functioning of the parliament, or it can be more advanced also, like why the functioning of the parliament is declining as the time passes by, etc. This type of questions have been asked previously also, and now because once again this issue is boiling down, there is greater chance that you will get a question in the mains examination. Maybe you'll not get a question on this in the prelims examination, but definitely scope is there to ask this question in the mains examination. So try and understand very carefully. You see the points here, whatever we are going to discuss, you can take them as examples, or you can use it as data for your analysis, to show that how the functioning of the parliament is declining day by day. What is the problem? If the functioning of the parliament declines, the standards fall, the democracy will be in danger. You see, functioning of executive, legislature and judiciary very important. Unfortunately, executive is okay, it's functioning, okay, active, at least it is active. Judiciary is also sometimes it is showing its activeness. We called that as judicial activism, but unfortunately the legislature is losing its what should I say, signature, losing its position. Never we have heard in the past 2 to 3 decades that the legislature has also shown its activism, and it brought in laws proactively in order in response to the some critical aspects. Maybe the recent thing is that the leak of examination papers, etc. Many other problems were there. Rape incidents that are occurring all over the country. Then maybe damage to the environment. Several unwanted things are happening, but whenever you see that legislature is very much proactive and responding to it. Why? Because it is coming under a lot of influence of the executive. Okay, executive is showing all the enthusiasm. If I'm saying it in a value neutral manner, I'm not saying it is good, I'm not also not saying it is bad, but executive is active, judiciary is also active on other hand. But in this game where the three organs of the government has to be very much active, executive, legislature and judiciary, but unfortunately legislature is not that much showing its activeness. Okay, very important. Definitely I'm expecting a question in the coming mains on this topic. Okay, because on judicial activism already there were questions, so you can expect a question why legislature is not showing its activism when it has to do some out of the box things, or it has to respond to very actively aggressively on several pressing socio-economic and political issues. In that manner the question may be asked. One reason you can tell is the system of government that we follow, that is parliamentary democracy. Okay, this type of system, actually the government also hails from the legislature. So actually, directly or indirectly, wantedly and unwantedly, the executive's influence will be there on the legislature. Why? Because the very executive, the top rung of the legislature, will go to will happen to become the executive, like prime minister, home minister, finance minister. You see, all of them are first MPs, members of parliament. They will become executive. So definitely their impact is going to be there on the legislature, and that's why, so you will not see a vocal legislature in response to the developments that are happening. Whatever is done by the firefighting, it is all done by the executive. That you have to remember. Okay, executives as part of legislature. Okay, maybe bringing in that act. Okay, Public Examinations Amendment Act is one best example. Okay, it's not the entire process is not done by legislature. It was initiated by the government. The government actually promoted its early passing. Everything was done by executive. Okay, in this context you have to understand the system of the government that we have, and this balance of power that is there between the executive, legislature, and judiciary. And there are two methods of government: parliamentary system of government and the presidential form of government. Okay, so in presidential form of government, everybody will be independent: executive, judiciary, and legislature. But whereas when it comes to parliamentary system of government, because the executive hails or actually comes from legislature, there is no watertight division between the legislature and executive. That is also one of the reasons, out of many reasons, that is also one of the reasons for poor functioning of the legislature, or the so-called somber situation of legislature or parliament in our country. Okay, this data that or this information that we are going to discuss now, it very well fits into the conclusion I have made, the statement I have made about our parliament. Unfortunately, this is the reality and we have to accept it. Okay, the parliament is on decline. There is no question. Not just the number of days it is working, but the quality of discussions and debates they have, the quality of bills they are passing, the time they are spending to discuss each and every bill before they pass it, including budget and finance, all these bills. If you see, definitely, and the people, okay, who are actually becoming the members of parliament, that the all the problem begins from there. Okay, you have to see the quality of people who are actually becoming or entering into legislature or parliament. Okay, so all these things are unfortunately causing decline of our parliament. Okay, that is the reality. There is no second opinion about it. This is the reality. You have to accept it. Whatever the things that we are going to discuss, they mirror that statement I have made. And then once you accept that there is problem, then maybe the solutions might come. Okay, right. Right. So we will see the working of the monsoon session. Okay, the latest session that has ended. Okay, the latest session that has ended. Okay, remember we are the Lok Sabha that is there right now is 18th Lok Sabha. There is no such tenure for Rajya Sabha. I think differentiation. Rajya Sabha is a permanent body. Only members will the tenure will be over. New members will be elected. But Lok Sabha, it has tenures, and now 18th Lok Sabha is there. Okay, the session, this session, monsoon session, has started on July 20th, and it was scheduled to end on August 13th, that is yesterday. Okay, and it's officially now the session has been ended. So we will try to do a deep analysis about that one. Okay, right. So if you see the details, few details, facts about the monsoon session. Okay, it's witnessed unprecedented, repeated disruptions. Okay, that has been the norm for this session. Okay, it happened previously also not new. Okay, when 2G scam and cool scam have taken place, it happened when Nirbhaya incident happened. That also then also repeatedly the sessions of the house have been disrupted like anything. It's not new, but if you see the past few sessions, maybe 5 6 sessions of the parliament, this type of unprecedented disruption has not seen. Why? The reason is there. Okay, government exam paper leaks. Okay, many other problems. Okay, because of that repeated disruptions have been seen. Okay, so it was held from July 20th to 13th August. Okay, it was marked by severe structural disruptions across both houses. It happened in both houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and several legislative bills were passed rapidly. Actually, 11 bills have been passed. We will see about them, and 9 out of them actually have been passed without any discussion, zero discussion. Okay, So without active participation from members in parliamentary discussions, greatly limiting debate and scrutiny. That is what I have mentioned. You see, not just in this session, but in every session, this practice of passing the bills without having discussion. Okay, that is called as guillotine. All the bills will be put together and en masse they are passed. This trend is increasing, unfortunately, in our functioning of parliament, which is not a good practice. Okay, so overall, the session duration was 19 days. In this question hour, I think 1 hour will be question hour in both houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Out of the 19 sessions of question hour, maybe 18 sessions, Lok Sabha had question hour only for 1% of the dedicated time. Okay, very unfortunate. And Rajya Sabha only 12% of the dedicated time for question hour. Why? Because as the session begins, first hour in Lok Sabha will be question hour. People, then opposition members will be demanding that we have to take up this discussion on important things. Then because of that reason, question hour will be washed away. Rajya Sabha, they have postponed it. Question hour begins maybe at the 12 o'clock. Yeah. Because of the repeated disruptions that are faced by question hour. In 16th Lok Sabha, I guess, or in 15th Lok Sabha, the question hour was changed from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Okay. In Lok Sabha, still that practice is there. As the session begins at 10 o'clock, question hour starts. So opposition will be wanting to discuss the pressing thing. Because of that, question hour will be disrupted. But how to understand that question hour is also one of the important tools the legislature has to make the executive accountable by using the question hour along with many other things, by having discussions, adjournment motions. Okay, there are several other tools, but the question hour is also one of the important tools in the hands of Lok Sabha or in the hands of legislature to make the executive accountable. Okay, but unfortunately, it completely washed away. Okay, right. The PRS Legislative Research tried to show it in a graphical manner how Lok Sabha function, how the Parliament functioned. Lok Sabha functioned for just 15% of the scheduled time, whereas Rajya Sabha performed a little bit better, 33%. But still, I would not say it's good. At least it should be functioning should be 90%. Okay, then you can say okay, they have functioned reasonably. Okay, there are instances, rare instances, that actually Rajya Sabha functioned beyond the actual schedule. It has gone to 120%, 130% also. Means they have performed better, they have discussed more bills, they have passed more bills, they have had more business. That should be the norm, not this one. Okay, functioning only 10%, 15%, 20%. Okay, we will see the reasons why this will happen. Okay, right. So if you see the functioning of the house, if you see the analysis of sitting time, that highlights severe disruptions during the session. We have witnessed it. While the Lok Sabha adjourned repeatedly with the minimal activity outside a single major legislative debate, that is for the passage of the Public Examinations Amendment Act. Okay, Public Examinations Amendment Act 2026. Okay, which amended the existing 2024. If you take out that, for rest of the business, always there were disruptions on one issue or the other issue. Maybe it is the chanda chori, maybe it is the paper leaks, exam paper leaks, etc., etc. N number of issues. Because of all those things, process got adjourned. Okay, Rajya Sabha managed to sustain active discussion over several days. It was possible in Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, but unfortunately, that did not. That was that was not the case in Lok Sabha. Okay. Only this bill, the Public Examinations Bill, Amendment Bill 2026, was actively discussed on July 29, after the protest at the Jantar Mantar, and when students tried to march to the Parliament. After all those things, the bill was hurriedly and burrily introduced, Amendment Bill, where punishments for leaking the public exams have been made stricter, and it is passed in 3 days. Except in that case, Lok Sabha did not function at all practically. Okay, but whereas Rajya Sabha was able to discuss some of the legislature, and it was able to pass them. Okay, right. Then you see 11 bills have passed in the parliament in this session in total. Out of that, 9 bills have been passed without any discussion in Lok Sabha. Okay, without any discussion in Lok Sabha. Okay, and no MP participated in 9 of those bills. Okay, those bills you can go on, go on and look at the names of the bills: the Tribunal Reforms Bill, the National Cooperative Development Corporation Amendment Bill, Bankers Books Evidence Bill, Kerala Alteration of Law. Of course, this is not that much important. Okay, already there is an ordinance, just a bill has been passed to make that ordinance official. The Mines and Minerals Amendment Bill 2026, like that, several bills have been passed without any discussion in Lok Sabha. Okay, you see the time that is allocated for this one. Okay, 14 minutes, 12 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. This is the time allocated for passing the bill, literal. And you see the number of MPs participated in the discussion in Lok Sabha. On Public Examinations Amendment Bill, 48 members have participated. Almost 11 hours of time has been taken. But you see, for the rest of the bills, the Prevention of Insults to National Honor Bill, that is related to Vande Mataram, 2 members have participated in the discussion, apart from the respective minister. 14 minutes time was taken. Then you see, for the rest of the bills, no member of parliament has participated in the discussion in Lok Sabha. Okay, in Rajya Sabha, it is slightly different. They have given on an average 1 hour time to discuss each and every bill, and roughly, oddly, here and there, some 12 to, on an average, 12 to 15 members of parliament were able to discuss or participate in the discussion about the particular bill. But you see, this is not at all acceptable. Not at all acceptable. Passing a bill without discussion, not at all acceptable. Okay, that has to be changed. Right. So you see, 9 out of 11 bills were passed without any discussion in the Lok Sabha. Okay. On single bill, that is Public Examinations Amendment Bill 2026. Okay, 11 hours discussion was held for 11 hours. You know the reason, because of the protests that have taken place at the Jantar Panthar and also in the rest of the places of the country. Okay. Then average speaking time in Rajya Sabha, okay, for in Rajya Sabha, if you see, debate was highly restricted. For example, 16 MPs spoke on the births and deaths bill, but the total discussion lasted only 50 minutes. So the average discussion per person, per member of parliament, is just 3 minutes. So in 3 minutes, what a member of parliament can speak? Can he raise, or can she raise important points, issues? Will the honorable members of the parliament will be having that opportunity? No. So the point here I'm trying to say is, once again, quality is missing. Quality is not there. That is the problem. Okay, right. You remember the statement I have made in the beginning: the quality of the parliament is declining. Means this is what is declining of parliament. No quality debates, no sufficient time for discussing the things. Okay, no participation of the members of parliament. Okay, right. Then all bills passed were introduced. All bills passed were introduced in this session only. The 11 bills that were passed were introduced in the same session. Okay, 5 out of 7 sessions of the 18th Lok Sabha, they have saw several bills introduced which were not on agenda. So what this shows, government introducing the bills that were not listed, that were not on the agenda, means government is taking firefighting measure. No, not pre-planned. Just it has introduced those bills for firefighting purpose. Okay, as a reactionary, as a reaction, as a knee-jerk reaction. Okay, then once again you ask me, is it a good practice? Then I will say it's not a good practice. Okay, it's not a good practice. Right, which is this, introducing the bills without schedule is not a good practice actually. Okay, then you see the trend of introducing and passing bills in the same session, that continues. Okay, budget session to 2024, no bill that was introduced in the same session was passed, but after that you see kept on increasing, except in the budget session of 2026. Then in the monsoon session, it's very high. Okay, what happens when a bill is introduced in the same session and passed means it is the public were not given enough time to think about the bill. That is there. Second thing is, the bill is not referred to a parliamentary committee, select committee or joint parliamentary committee, where the committee can in detail dwell into the bill and make its recommendations. If a bill is referred to a committee, the committee will take sufficient time and in detail it will study the bill and give its recommendations. Then the bill will be in good form. But unfortunately, it's not being done. We will see that also. So the bill is being introduced in the same session and passed means, okay, you can say the bill is passed within time frame. But what is the problem here? Quality will not be there on the bill, and the public will not have sufficient time to know about the bill, what is there in the bill, to understand it properly and respond to. That is the problem. Okay, right. So this is also okay. One way you can say it is a good thing, but in other way, when you say the quality, when you see in terms of quality of legislation, that will be definitely impacted or affected. Okay. Then you see two bills that were not introduced in this session, but they were there in the introduced in previous sessions itself. That is Viksit Bharat. Okay, Viksit Bharat Shiksha Adhishtan bill. It has not been presented. I mean, it was referred to a joint parliamentary committee, and the committee has not yet presented its report or recommendations. So the bill is still pending. Then the FCRA, Foreign Contribution Regulatory Authority Bill 2026, government was very much vehement to pass this bill. Okay, it was also introduced in the previous sessions, but this time government was very much vehement. But because of the resistance from the opposition benches and also from the reservations expressed by the minority communities like Christians especially, the bill now has been referred to a joint parliamentary committee to further dwell into the bill. Okay, so in another separate video, I have discussed the salient features of the SCRA Amendment Bill 2026. You try to watch that video also. Okay, so you see with the reference of the FCRA Bill 2026 to the Joint Parliamentary Committee, now the overall proportion of bills referred to the parliamentary committees during the 18th Lok Sabha now gone up to 21%. In 16th Lok Sabha, percentage of bills that were referred to a parliamentary committee, it was 28%. 17th Lok Sabha, it was very less, only 16%. Then in this Lok Sabha, 18th Lok Sabha, it has now increased to 21%. Means if 100 bills are being introduced, 21 of them are being referred to a select committee, whether it is a committee of the single house or joint committee. Okay, referring the bills to committees is a very important thing. You remember why? The committee will completely in detail dwell into the bill. Okay, and it will give its recommendations. That's why it's very useful to refer the bill to a committee if that bill is very important. Then question hour is held only for 9 minutes in Lok Sabha. We have already elaborately discussed about it, and only 2 questions were asked orally. Okay, you know very well there are categorization of questions, starred questions and unstarred questions. All the starred questions which are important, they have to be orally answered in the house. Unstarred questions, written reply will be given by the respective ministry. Okay, but unfortunately in this session, only question hour was held only for 9 minutes in Lok Sabha. That is 1% of the allocated time. Rajya Sabha, it was slightly better. 12% of the time was spent for allocated time was spent for question hours. Okay, that is 2 hours in Rajya Sabha. Okay, the if you see it in the 17th Lok Sabha, previous Lok Sabha, you can say the performance is slightly stable and better compared to high rise and falls in the 18th Lok Sabha. Okay, question hour was substantially there in the budget session of 2024. 18th Lok Sabha only, then it fell down in winter session. Budget session it was better. Then monsoon session it fell down 2025. Next winter session of 2025 it is reasonable. Budget session of 2026 it was better, but monsoon session of this year You can say it is the worst period for question hours in a series of sessions that the houses had. Okay, right. Out of 380, only two questions were orally answered in Lok Sabha, and 16 out of 285 questions were orally answered in Rajya Sabha. Okay. Then another very important development is no debates, discussions, or private members' business was taken up. You see, private members, the window that is given for private members is very important. Who is a private member? Private member is a person who is not a minister, including Prime Minister. So rest of the members of parliament, whether they belong to ruling party or opposition party, a member, parliament member who is not a minister is actually called as private member. Means he is not part of the executive. He is a legislature, complete legislature. So giving opportunity for private members to introduce the bills, okay, have discussion on them is also very important. Why? Because some of the important pressing issues, they are there in the country, socio-economic and political issues, maybe they do not have come to the notice of the government, and this particular member wants to bring those issues into the notice of the government. That's why the private member will request for a debate on something, discussion on something. In some cases, the private member will introduce a bill also, that is called as private members bill. One Tiruchi Shiva from Tamil Nadu, he introduced a private members bill with respect to transgenders. If you go back during the 1960s, 70s, 1950s, at that time, some of the bills that were actually introduced by the private members have been taken up for discussion, debated, and they have been passed by the houses. They have become acts. So that was the spirit at that time. But can you expect now anything that is proposed by a opposition party member or private member is accepted? No. You forget about accepting, the chance itself is eroding now. No debate, no discussion, or opportunity for private members to put up their business. There are like half an hour discussion every Friday. There will be half an hour discussion where a private member can bring up an issue. No chance at all. Okay, that is the unfortunate situation. Okay, so no private members business discussed for second consecutive session in Lok Sabha. What you can say with this? You can say that the space for the opposition or non members of parliament of the who are not part of the executive, the space is being reduced for them. They are not being given opportunity to participate in the discussion. That is the problem. Okay. Then you see here from in Lok Sabha onwards, the half an hour discussions and the short duration discussions. You can see how their share is falling. Okay, from 9th Lok Sabha onwards, and it got drastically reduced in the 17th Lok Sabha and 17th Lok Sabha and 18th Lok Sabha tenures. What this says, you are shrinking the space for the opposition or legislators who are not part of the executive. That is the problem. Okay. And finally, the Lok Sabha, very peculiar development, that is vacancy of the deputy speaker first. You see, the practice, the convention was speaker used to be from the in Lok Sabha, speaker used to be from the ruling party, and deputy speaker used to come from the opposition party. It used to be the practice. Now they have now in the 17th Lok Sabha also and 18th Lok Sabha, they have kept the seat of the deputy speaker vacant. No election was held. Why? Maybe they don't want to, the ruling party don't want to give space for the opposition. Okay. So the seat or position of the deputy speaker is lying vacant. Okay. You can understand the message behind it, why the position was kept vacant. Okay, just to not to give space for the opposition party. Earlier in previous tenures of Lok Sabha, speaker used to come from the ruling party and deputy speaker used to come from the opposition party. What is the role of the deputy speaker? You study in polity. When speaker is in not in not not attending the business, he is not in the chair, the deputy speaker will fill in the boots of the speaker and he will conduct the business. That some important constitutional duty is there for the deputy speaker also, but deliberately, wantedly, it's being kept vacant. Okay. There is a case also in February 2023. Supreme Court issued a notice to the central government to respond to the delay in electing a deputy speaker. In February 2023 means it is the tenure of the 17th Lok Sabha. So for entire period of 17th Lok Sabha, there was no deputy speaker. Honorable Supreme Court has issued a notice to the government. No response is given by the government. Okay. Now it has been 2 years plus. For 18th Lok Sabha, here also no election of the deputy speaker. So you can understand what all these boils down to. It boils down to declining space for the opposition. You see, in legislature or in parliament, the opposition shall also get equal opportunity to discuss, to debate, to put the things forward, okay, to participate. The space has to be provided by the treasury benches, means from the government. But unfortunately, the space is being reduced for the opposition, which is not at all a good practice. Okay, so this is what you have to understand. Remember all these things, very very important when you are doing analysis in the mains examination. You have to use all these facts to prove your point. In that way, this discussion becomes very very important. Okay, this is for today. See you next time. Until then, you have a very good time.